Good Monday, makers. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend and is ready to check out some builds with me. As always, we've got some really great ones. We're going to be looking at a boat dolly, a generator stand, a steel bed garden trellis, four-wheeler seat bar, camper canopy, a boat blind, a roof rack for a truck, and a really cool beach bike cart. So there's a lot of great builds, and I think we should just jump right into it. First up is this generator stand. This is sent in by Roy, and he said he's got some kind of a business. I think it's a concession stand business, and he said that when they run the generators that they're using for power for the concession stands, if they're on the ground, apparently the inlet for just kind of the air kind of inlet sucks in dust and dirt. I think that's it right there. And also, if it rains, concession stand can still function inside the rain because they've got the tent. But when water's going through it and it's running next to this inlet as well, just causes all kinds of problems. So this is what he made to kind of combat that issue. It's just a really great stand that elevates the generators and gets them off the ground. And then it even has this kind of junction box that has different plugins here they can plug the equipment into. But the stand is really simple. They've got 2x4s on the ground, and then they're using some of the flanges attached to those. And then they've just got verticals going up out of those. And then they're using 90-degree connectors in the corners to make the basic like rectangle. And then they've got here in the middle, they've got 90s that they're using kind of flipped over sideways in order to add a vertical pipe and then add a brace from front to back. And then I think the way the frame is made, yeah, so it's just kind of narrower than the generators themselves, so they just kind of sit on top of the pipes just like that, and they're supported by the front and back pipes there. And then they've got the vertical pipes here in the middle and on the sides. And that just kind of keeps it from, sliding off the sides. And then they've got rubber pipe feet as well. They don't have just the end of the sharp pipe, kind of bumping up against the generator there. And then, like I said, they've got that junction box here. It looks like that's attached in a pretty cool way. T connector with a pipe going into it. I'm not really sure how it's attached there. Maybe like a threaded pipe insert. Not quite sure, but it looks like it's attached in a great way. And then he's got the wires that run to the generators. He's got those going into that junction box. And then he's just using a real simple method to secure those to the frame, which is just the zip ties there. But it looks awesome. Looks like a great solution. Really great frame. There you can see everything's plugged up. And it's just a really simple thing to get these generators off the ground. But it looks like it's working great. And thanks so much for sharing that, Roy. Good luck with the concession business. Next up is a build from Andrew. So this is his first Maker Pipe build, and it was inspired by Roger Reese's boat dolly builds. He said mine is more basic. He said he's got a quarter-mile trip to take this raft from where it's stored all the way to the water. And he's using an electric bike to assist, but the boat is over 200 pounds when it has all the contents inside of it. It's got the plywood, the battery, the motor, the boat itself. All of that combines over 200 pounds. And so he said he built this as a way to haul it. So this is really cool. He's got like one of those child trailers for bikes, and he's basically adapted this frame to it attaches on there somehow. I'm not sure if we see that exactly. No, I don't think we see exactly how that's attached, but I would imagine it's got some kind of crossbar or something that he's able to just kind of clamp onto, maybe with the crossover clamp. But he's got this bar in the front that rests on there, and then he's built this frame underneath the boat. As you can see, it's got some long horizontal spans, and then he's got T connectors, basically adding some bracing throughout. And it looks like the middle or the axle is bowing a little bit here in the middle. I think maybe doing some bracing from side to side, and there's a lot front to back, but just maybe adding a couple side to side would help alleviate some of the pressure from the middle there. But instead, it's working great, even though it's bowing a little bit there in the middle. But he's got the axle. I think it's running. I wonder if it's running all the way through to the wheels on the outside, or if it's maybe just like independent axle per on each side. That'd be a pretty long piece of all thread if it was going all the way through. But either way, that's a pretty common way we see people do axles inside the conduit, just so you can build off of it and then build something like this. But it looks like a really awesome solution. Great build from Andrew. Thanks so much for posting that in the community. Really appreciate it. Next up is a build. This is a trellis system sent in by Anthony. And this is for a raised steel garden bed. We've seen these get pretty popular more recently. And this is a simple trellis that he built inside of this raised steel bed. So it looks like the conduit is inside of of the soil there. And we see different ways to mount these. Some people mount them on the outside of the bed. Some people do it on the inside like this. But he's got it inside, buried in the soil. And it looks like it just goes up. And he's basically got these two sides separate from each other. So the verticals go up. There's a T connector that comes over to this side. He's got the same thing mirrored over there. But then between the two, the front and back, he's got these 45-degree connectors that, connect the two halves together and just kind of add some bracing. And then he's got this netting or this kind of rope material that is tied every foot or so, and then that goes down to the ground and then gives something for the plants to trellis off of, which is a really great design, really simple. Looks like it's working awesome for this size garden bed, and you can even see some of the plants are starting to grab on in the back and our trellis. So that's really awesome. Thanks so much, Anthony, for posting that. Next up is a build from Tony, and this is a Kodiak seat bar, he called it. It keeps loads from shifting forward towards the rider. And then he's got another rack. So he basically did two. So this one, he had like this cargo rack on the back. You just set stuff on top of it and then strap it down. And he added this bar that goes around. So the 3/4 inch connector goes around the bar. I think he said it wasn't the right diameter. So he did a method which is basically using a clamp to kind of squeeze the ends together. And that works if the pipe diameter is just a little bit bigger. We've tried it on larger diameter pipes, and once it gets to a certain diameter, it just doesn't really do the job. So he said it was kind of in between the 3/4 inch EMT and 1 inch EMT, and then he was able to just kind of squeeze the ends together until he could get the bolt through, and that's how he attached that. And then just added this bar that goes around, and then he just used 1 inch EMT on the bar to basically add the just another like cross brace. And he said this just keeps the cargo from sliding forward towards the rider. So that's really cool. And then on the front, he's got another bar that he added, kind of the similar thing, where it's just the flat normal rack that you have on these, and then he's added some verticals using 3/4 inch connectors, and then he's got the bar that goes all the way around and creates a tub or kind of a place for this tub here when he's doing some gardening. So it's like the perfect dimensions and size to basically just set that tub down, and it makes it a lot faster when you're in the moment and you're trying to work instead of having to put this tub down and then strap it around or making sure it's secure. You can easily just slide it into this spot here as he's got it here. You don't have to worry about it sliding off the sides or sliding towards you when you're riding it, or if you have to slow down really quickly, you don't want it sliding off the front. So it looks like a great solution for that. And I think he said this rack was also a little bit of a larger diameter, so he had to do the same method where he basically squeezed the connectors. Really great build. Thanks so much, Tony, for posting this in the community. Really great to see. Next up is a build from George, and this is a camper canopy. It looks like they have one of those like miniature campers. These are really cool. And I think I've never really seen inside of one of these miniature campers, but they look really cool from the outside. And I would imagine it's basically just for sleeping, because that's one of the biggest challenges once you get to a campground. But it's a really cool looking camper, and we can see looks like somebody's getting inside there, and he's got this. They're pulling it with their vehicle, and they're at the campground, and they made this canopy that they are able to just put up really easily. It's got four T connectors, basically creating this rectangle that holds the shade material on top. And then he's just added four verticals, one in each corner using T connectors going down. And it's just really simple, only a few connectors. But as you can see, it makes it a great shady spot to just kind of hang out or, just have a shady spot there outside the camper. So that's really cool. Really simple build. Looks like they have it attached to the camper. Looks like some two-hole straps going into the metal. So those are just snap on the conduit and go into the middle. They have it on the top and bottom, and it looks like over here on the bottom as well. And I think the sunshade material looks like it has some wire or some kind of cable or something that is holding it on. It doesn't have grommets, and you have a couple of different options. If you have grommets, we like to use ball bungees. We see those pretty common. Those work well. If you don't have grommets, you can either add grommets, or we've seen you can actually get some. They're called tarp. I think like alligator clips or something for tarps. I got some from Harbor Freight, and they seem to work just fine. But multi-purpose tarp clips, and you can see basically they just have these teeth that you twist this knob and it grabs onto the material, and then it has a hole in the back that you can then add ball bungees or some other method, zip ties, whatever you'd like to secure the material to the framework. But these work really well. Thanks so much, George, for sending this in through email. We really appreciate it. This is a boat blind shared by Jeff, and this is really cool. He's not quite finished with it yet, but the reason I wanted to show it before it's finished is because he's got a really cool system for mounting this, because that seems to be one of the biggest challenges, figuring out a way to attach it to your specific boat, because we've seen people do it for John boats, even for kayaks and different things. So figuring out how to mount your frame to the boat itself seems to be the biggest challenge. But what Jeff found out was there's a company that makes these. They're called accessory mounting brackets. I've seen them also called T-slot brackets as well. But they're made for boats that have this T rail. So if you have a boat that has this railing type, it looks like it's Havoc, Ambush, Excel, Express, War Eagle, Edge, other. Yeah, so it looks like really any kind of boat that has this kind of T-rail slotting system. They have these brackets that basically you can just kind of slide them in and lock them in, and then you use the nuts to secure it in place. And what he did was basically he did that where it locks in place there, but it has this platform that sticks out of it, and he used the maker pipe flanges drilled into the platform that comes out of it to actually secure the framework. So then he'll just have his vertical that comes out of here, and you can just build the rest of the blind like normal. And what's really cool about this, because not only do you need a good way to attach it, but a lot of people want to be able to take the whole blind off when it's not hunting season, and they just want to maybe do some fishing or just get out on the water. So this, all he has to do is just undo this wing nut here on all the sides where the bracket is, and then you can just slide out the whole system really simply. So you don't have to worry about unbolting the flanges or unbolting any of the connections anywhere. You can just undo the wing nuts and basically disassemble it really, really easily if you want to take the whole thing off, or even if you want to do like half of it at a time. So that's really cool. Thanks, Jeff, for posting that, and he posted a good review. We appreciate that, and we can't wait to see it when it's finished. But really awesome. Next up is a build from Gilbert, and this is a roof rack that he made for his looks like Chevy truck. Really nice truck. Looks like it's lifted, and yeah, looks like a great truck. But he's got this roof rack here, and this is a really common way that we see people do roof racks. You can see that there's just a rectangle roof rack, and it's got two rails going all the way around it. And basically, what people have been doing is building a rack, just to fit the dimensions of the roof, and you can build that off the vehicle on the ground, and you can basically customize it however you want. We've seen people add solar panels. We've seen people create partitions to hold different bins, different gear for camping or whatever it is that you need. We've seen people do kayak roof racks and different things. But once you have that built, you basically can attach it to the vehicle. If you have these factory or OEM rails already attached to the roof, you can basically just, as long as you have a horizontal pipe that runs, along the same line on the roof, then you can use whatever it is to secure the actual conduit in the pipes to the roof rails. Now, I mean, you could use something like zip ties, but I don't think that would be recommended. You want to use something, of course, that's going to be sturdy and strong. We've seen people use crossover clamps. Basically, if you have that factory rail, you can pretend that this factory rail or this piece of conduit is the factory rail, and then you can use the crossover clamp to add the conduit going across the factory rails and creating and securing it that way. You just whatever you use, you want to make sure it's strong, of course, and it's going to hold up, traveling over long distances. We've also seen people have had, some different brackets that they found that work, but crossover clamps seem to be a really good secure option. But you just want to make sure again that it's safe and it will stay up there. But it's a great way to do a roof rack. You just kind of create whatever you want. You don't have to do any welding or anything. Just build it exactly how you want it up there to kind of fit the dimensions, and then you just figure out a strong solution to secure it to the roof rail, and voila, you got a really great roof rack that basically accomplishes whatever you want it to. Like I said, could be camping gear, could be kayaks, could be all kinds of stuff. So really cool. Thanks so much, Gilbert, for posting this. Really awesome truck and roof rack. Next up is a cool one. This is from Tim, and this is a beach bike cart. So we can see he's using 90-degree connectors, and he built this main framework here for the cart. And he's got some 180s in there and some other T connectors, and looks like I think some other kind of bracket that does like a crossover kind of thing. And then he's added all kinds of accessories. So he's got the cross pipe here between the 180s. I think that's going to be the axle for the wheels. Then he's added kind of a partition up top, basically just to kind of customize it to where it can hold different gear for going to the beach. Then he's added, looks like some handle off of some other kind of cart, maybe he had laying around or something, or maybe he bought it. But he secured that to the frame. Can't really see how that's secured there, but it looks like a great solution, whatever that is off of. You can also do the same thing with Conduit, just have to bend a little bit, but that's really cool. Then you can see he started adding some, we'll call it decking, but he's got that secured to the frame. And oh yeah, it looks like some kind of parallel clamp he's got there, using to hold that front rail on. He's got the front bar connected. As you can see, there's like some kind of parallel clamp there, and then in the back, he's got the wheels added now. I would imagine in the different ways that we've seen, using like a piece of all thread going all the way through, or even a smooth rod. But he's got that attached, and those are some big wheels and tires, so that's really cool. Perfect for the beach. Here's another close up of everything put together. He's even got this kind of like tripod thing on the front just to keep it level. That's really smart. So whenever you get to the beach or wherever you're going, you let go of the front here and drop it down. Everything is going to lean forward and fall forward, especially when it's got that height on it from the tires. But that's really cool. Nice tripod there for that. And then here it is. He's got some netting going around it, and here it is, kind of all put together. I'm not sure what kind of netting that is, but there's all kinds of different things you could use. That looks like it's a pretty thick material, like a plastic netting, so that looks really good. I think just secured with zip ties, it looks like holding it onto the framework. Here it is, the whole thing assembled. It's got the tripod, the handle, and everything. But you can either do it like this, where you hold the handle and you pull it, where you can, walk to the beach. It's got the beach tires on it. It's got it loaded down. You can carry it to the beach. But he's also got it as a bike trailer. So I think this is an e-bike similar to the what we saw earlier, where you can pull it with the e-bike, similar to we saw with the boat or raft cart. He's got this attached to his e-bike, so he can pull everything to the beach or even just to the parking lot, and then you can carry it from the parking lot. But he's really awesome. And a lot of people ask for bike carts. And the biggest challenge with doing a bike cart is figuring out how to attach it to the bike, because you don't want it to be a rigid connection, because, the bike move back and forth. And if you have a rigid connection, it may not allow the trailer to move properly. Just the same way on like a vehicle, you don't have a rigid connection on a vehicle hitch. So you need some kind of attachment method that allows the bike to kind of move kind of freely, almost not freely, of course, but I mean it'll follow the bike, but just not be a rigid connection. So you can see he's using those kind of crossover clamp things to hold the pipe that goes up to the bike itself. And then he got this Fat Cat bike trailer coupler attachment. And there's like 40 keywords from the Amazon search, as you can see here. But I'll put a link to this in the description. It's got this connection point for the bike axle here. Can't really see it close up, but it attaches to the bike axle with this black piece. Then it has this pin you can pull out, and so you can leave that attached to the bike axle at all times if you want. And you can just take this pin out if you want to release the trailer. But then it's got the this kind of springed hinge piece here that is able to kind of move freely and have that back and forth movement that you need. And then it's got it looks some kind of a coupler piece or flange here. And I think in the example they show it's connected to like a piece of aluminum, like this bracket made for this bike trailer, like the kid trailer thing. And it looks like it goes inside of it and then has a pin going through it. But basically, you could do the same thing with Conduit, because you could just put Conduit, where's a good picture of it here, over top of that. It looks like silicone or something, or like just like a vinyl tube. Basically, put Conduit over that, drill a hole in the Conduit, and then attach the pin through that. And voila. I mean, you've got a great attachment method. It's only $14. I would imagine something like this would be really expensive, but I mean, $14 is not bad for this. And as you can see, it looks like it's working great as an attachment method way for this trailer to secure it in place and create that motion that you need out of it. And just a really awesome solution for doing bike carts. So that's really cool, Tim. Thanks so much for posting that. Looks like a lot of fun. Have fun at the beach and enjoy the build. Thanks so much for sharing it. Really cool to see. All of these builds will be linked down below if you want to check them out. That's connect.makerpipe.com. And there were a couple on Facebook and different things. But that's all the builds. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me and checking these out. If you need anything, have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. But I hope everybody has a good week. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll